crazy that a magistrate even signed off on this. Like, I'm not a mass murderer.
Friday,
I'm not a drug mule. I'm not even. Oh my
November,
God,
I think it's the 16th or 17th. Monica Smit is at our
literally do like forget password and like go
Campwin
through the
Beach
steps and like help
meetup.
them get into everything. Could you imagine? That's like a horror movie. But anyway, so I had three choices. I could plead guilty to the original incitement charges and the warrant would go away. Secondly, I could give them the data. Obviously, that's not an option. The third option was to not give them the data and see what happened. Now, I did appeal the warrant to the High Court, spent $80,000 on legal costs and lost, so that even a higher judge signed off on that. And don't worry, we're going to get that money back, and if you donated, you're going to get your money back too, because I'm going to go after them, so don't worry. But he signed off on it too, and so I thought, bloody hell, here we are again. A decision, jail or freedom or whatever. And again, I had the support of my family and I said, well, I'm not giving you the data, so what do you want to do? And 2 days after I told them I wasn't giving them the data and they can arrest me if they want, they dropped all the charges. So the reason I'm telling you that, again, is not to gloat, but to tell you in your own lives, a lot of what they do to us is empty threats. You know, they say we're going to get a fine if we do this, or that we're going to get a fine, a parking fine here, we're going to get fined $1 million if we don't get the director ID, you can't go over the border, but then you get there and no one's there. You know, like, I think because of what we've been through in the last 3 years, we're starting to think everything differently, and myself included. I'm not a born rebel necessarily. I was brought up in a very traditional, like, normal, you know what I mean, household that respected people like that. And they have created us because of what they have done. I never even used to have a password on my phone. And it was great because you just swipe up and it opens. Now you've got to put in 6 digits, right? They've created us to be a little bit paranoid. It's a bit of a burden. But at the same time, they've made us think outside the box and realise that we don't have to do what we're told all the time. Now, you have to discern that in your own lives, okay? So don't always don't always call their bluff. But I hope that you can discern that in your own life, and in my situation, for that reason, it worked. Now, I'm just going to finish this point and I'm going to just reiterate to you that I was lucky to do what I did. The reason is I got to make a public statement that we're not going to stand for this stuff, right? And I get the hate for it, sure. But I also get the public gratification that keeps me going. Like the fact
dude, no, come on.
I found something.
That makes me feel good,
I found something.
right?
Dude, no.
But there are people who put flyers in letterboxes or organise protests from Mackay
Very interesting.
or
It's
do
like
the Forest of the Fallen. They don't have a social media platform. No one's coming up and telling them how great they are. Or maybe they are. But the point I'm trying to say is that I feel grateful that I made that stand, and I am happy to do it, and I'll do it again. And I actually think people who do things without the public gratification are more courageous than I am, and I really respect you for doing that. So again, never compare what you can do to someone else's, and it's just my role. And if I get persecuted again, which by the way, I have many court cases coming up, and who knows, things could get a lot worse for me. And if anything ever happens to me again, I just want you to know that I'm fine and that I actually am kind of weird and I like this stuff. When bad stuff happens to me, I'm already thinking about how I can tell the story to make people laugh. So I'm kind of weird like that. And the only thing I ask of you in any of these situations, because so many people are being persecuted, you know, Dave O'Neill's had his bank account closed, you know, I could go on for a long time. There's a lot of persecution going on. But we can use these stories to wake Middle Australia up, because it's so insane what they're willing to do. I mean, they chose, I would say, and I was saying this to Roan, they chose kind of the wrong person for what they did to me, because I look so innocent. I mean, I know you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but like, you know, if I did have earrings coming out of my nostrils and things like that, it probably would have worked out better for them. But I am actually a law-abiding citizen, and it did work against them. They tried to silence me, and it did the exact opposite. I got a story, I wrote a book about it, and around that story, I was able to talk about other things. So I really found it hilarious that it backfired on them. And because of jail was the best thing that ever happened to me for this particular path of my life, for this particular moment in time. I don't have children, so I need to leave the world a different place. And because of prison, I was able to network with people overseas. I was able to do my 5-month tour of Europe, which I'll get into just in a little bit. But if I didn't do that, imagine calling Robert Kennedy Jr. and saying, oh, I'm Monica, I started an organisation, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Hey, I'm Monica, I went to prison for 22 days for protesting. Hi, how are you? Right? So you should never fake a publicity stunt. But if it gets gifted to you, you should use it. And I have used it. And on the front page of my book, the first thing that you see is compliments to Victoria Police and Daniel Andrews for the great story. So that's that. Look, why am I doing this tour? Look, if you guys were following me during the craziness of it, you might or might not know that I was working, 14-hour days, stuck behind the computer. My health was decaying. It was exciting, but it was stressful on my body and things like that. I forgot how to live. I forgot how to have normal conversations. I think I stopped getting invited to places because I was just so into this. And so for me to do a tour like this, I want you to know that it just fills me with so much joy to get away from the computer and to be out with the people, because they want us to be on Zooms. They want us to be on the computer. They want us to think that that's more impactful. But I totally disagree. There is something so magical that happens when we meet. I don't know exactly what it is, but I'm sure that the globalists know exactly what it is, and that's why they don't want us catching up like this. Now, they don't know that we're here in Serena right now in Australia having this great, they don't know that, but I do know that they want to stop this sort of stuff. And that's why they want us to shop with goggles and go on holidays with goggles and stuff. So the selfish reason for me doing this tour is to see Australia and to meet you guys, and also to be inspired by you, because that sometimes there's that one sentence that someone says and it changes your life, right? You're probably all thinking about it now. One teacher, one parent that just said this one quote or something, and you just say it in your head, and you probably pass it on to your children as well, and it lives forever. I'm not going to have those inspirational sentences if I don't get out and meet people and I get stuck behind the computer. So that's why I'm doing this tour. Secondly, obviously, I've written the book, and I think that, well, my mission for the book is a few things, but one of them is that I want to inspire people to be strong again when the next crisis happens, because it's going to happen, and I think now's the time that we can prepare. And road tripping with my dad isn't so bad, getting to spend quality time with my dad. So that's why I'm doing this tour. But what I want to talk to you guys about next is what I learnt running Reignite Democracy Australia, and what I learnt being on the front line of all these campaignings and stuff. And I think that I have an ability to explain where I think our energy should be right now, only because I've made all the mistakes. Well, I made so many mistakes that I want to share with you guys that I think can help us all in the future, whatever pushback needs to happen. I personally don't think we're in the era right now of waking people up. I don't think that we're in the era of necessarily having huge petitions and campaigns and things like. I'm not saying don't do them. I'm going to explain what I'm saying here. Is that when COVID started and everything, I made the mistake of trying to do everything at once, and probably doing a few things well and a lot of things bad. And I think that we can look back and learn on that and recognise that even though we're passionate people and we want to change the world, sometimes we only need to change one thing. Sometimes we need to pick something that we have skills in, that we're passionate about, and we need to be really, really good at that. I think that part of infiltration or controlled opposition is not a Hollywood movie where there's a CIA agent dressed in whatever with, special spy cameras or something. I don't actually think it's that. I think a lot of it is just distraction. Because if you take 20 hours of a productive person's time over here so that they're not over there doing the things that matter, that is very, very powerful distraction. And if someone tells me they've got this great idea and I spend 2 or 3 weeks on this idea with them and then they just go MIA, that would be a fantastic infiltration or controlled opposition. So, the reason I have this opinion is because I've experienced it firsthand, and I'll give you an example. Do you guys remember, it was maybe 6 months ago, Drag Queen Story Time just came in like a wave in Australia, and there were so many of them, right? Now in Victoria, we managed to stop one, and we were so proud of ourselves. And when I say we, it was good, but the next week there was 10 more. And And we don't have the resources to do all of that for all 10 of them. And then on top of that, Daniel Andrews had a drag queen story time in Parliament just to spite us. Just to be like, oh, you think you won, haha, very funny. Now, what I realised in that moment is that, obviously, it's really hard to watch this, and I know, but if a mother is going to bring their 2-year-old child to that sort of a show, it is possible that we can never save that child. It is possible that we can never get through to that parent. And if we spend our time trying to get through to those people, we will be using all our energy and we won't get through to the other people that actually are potentially being able to take off the fence. For example, you think about that one person at work or your family member or a friend who's on the fence, and sometimes they give you this little like sliver of light and you're like, ooh, and then they go back or whatever. Think about that person. Right now, in the way that the climate is now, you might have to use 95% of your energy to wake up that person, because the crisis isn't in our faces. Now, there is crises in our faces, of course, cost of living, etc. But it's not like this big thing like COVID was. So you might have to use 95% of your energy to wake up that person. But if there was a COVID-like crisis, you would only have to use 5% of your energy to wake up that person potentially. And then with the other 90%, you can wake up 18 more people. So I'm not saying to give up on people. I'm saying wait for the right opportunity where you can use less energy. Because people come up to me and they say, well, if you're a freedom fighter, I actually call myself a freedom lover now, but they say, if you're a freedom fighter, you've got freedom now, what are you fighting for? You're traveling Australia, you're traveling Europe without COVID passports and things like that. Now, we all know that this freedom is short-lived and that we're in a bit of a holding pattern at the moment, but it is really hard to explain that to someone who doesn't understand. We can end up going in circles talking about that. But when the crisis happens, and we don't know what it's going to be, it could be 15-minute cities, it could be whatever it is, okay? Digital ID, digital currency, you know. All the people that are watching from the sidelines are going to come running to us. And when I say us, I mean you guys. The fact that you're here on a Friday night, to me, signifies that you are like the fair income freedom family people that will probably go to almost anything, and God bless you for that. But this event would be 5 times the size if it was 2 years ago. And the reason is because humans react really, really well to pressure. And they do when they're pressured. But right now, all those people, they're still here. They're not here physically, but they're watching from the sidelines, they're looking at the Telegram chats, etc. And they are so grateful that you're here, keeping the flame alive, right? And when stuff hits the fan, child friendly, you know what I would say, when stuff hits the fan, those people are going to be looking for you. On top of that, people who were asleep and wake up are also going to be looking for you. It's going to be really hard, but I hope that we can find it in our hearts to forgive the people that treated us really badly. And if I can forgive the police that did the things they did to me, maybe you can forgive the 15-year-old at the Woolworths or something who, you know, tried to force you to wear a mask. Because when those people wake up, imagine how depressed they're going to be. When they find out what they did and how wrong they were and how we were just generally trying to help them, they're going to go through a massive depression. Imagine the police who shot rubber bullets at us, the police who tear-gassed us and imprisoned us. They're going to be massively depressed. And the last thing that we should do, and I hope that you can manage this, is say, I told you so. Please don't say I told you so, because we're going to be able to double and triple and maybe quadruple our communities when there is a crisis. And so I think now is the time to build on the communities that you have. Find out where your local fruit and veg is, where your local meat is, etc., etc. Have these in-person events, because when the stuff hits the fan, you're going to need each other. And the great thing is, compared to when COVID happened, we are so much more prepared. Like, no one knew, a lot of people didn't know each other here, I'm sure, right? A lot of people didn't have communities like they have now. A lot of people didn't have as many friends as they have now. And look what we achieved during COVID. Look at Canberra, look at this group, look at Mackay, look at all this stuff. And we had no idea what we were doing. A lot of us woke up almost at that time. Some of us were awake for 20 years and had no friends. And all of a sudden we were like, woohoo, we got friends now. But we achieved so much. Imagine what we could achieve if there was a crisis now. And I believe that we should try not to be greedy and people up at this moment. I think we should be very grateful for what we achieved. We should be thankful for that, and we should use this time to conserve our energy because we are going to need it someday soon, and we don't know when. And when we do, if we burn ourselves out in the meantime, we're not going to be ready for it. I believe that passionate people like us, we end up, we're so passionate that we want to fight everything, and then it's a mechanism of our enemy to drain our energy for when it's actually needed. And you guys know that. You guys actually know that. I'm just reminding you of something you already know. You actually don't have to know everything about everything. Can I just tell you? You don't need to know about all the wars overseas. You don't need to see the footage. You don't need to go down every single rabbit hole. You should go down the rabbit holes that you're passionate about and that you want to educate other people about and that you can actually make an impact about. But if you get all this information about a topic that you can't do anything about, what is the point? Now, you should know a little bit about it. You should have, you want to be able to have talking points, right? But if you dive into every single topic, you're going to end up taking away from your present moment, which is now, which is with your family and your friends, and then it's going to be too late. You're going to have missed that present moment. So just know that it's not your job to do everything. Pick something and run with it. There's this saying that I really love right now. If you follow me, you would have heard it before, but don't interfere with the enemy when they're in the process of destroying themselves. Don't interfere with the enemy when they're in the process of destroying themselves. What if that is what we are watching right now? What if the globalists are not as organized as they think they are? What if the globalists are not as organized as they want us to think they are? Have you noticed that they change their narrative all the time? Remember, it was monkeypox. What happened to that? And there was some jungle COVID variant like a year ago, and now they're talking about masks again and things like that. And I don't know about you guys, but the marketing just ain't working like it used to. I don't think they know how to make us scared anymore. And I'll give you an example. I was in the UK recently, and the global warming just changed to global boiling in July. I think it was July that it all of a sudden became global boiling. And it was all over the UK news, so Scotland, Ireland and London. And it was the coldest summer they had ever had. And people were like, what is going on? And then, with the narrative, they decided to install the ULEZ cameras. Who here knows what the ULEZ cameras are? Okay, well, if you don't, you're going to love this story. So the council at the time, they put up these cameras all over London. And if... I think it was 1400, but Dad thinks it was 1800. But look, I'm going to go with 1400 because that's what I read a month or so ago. 1400 cameras all through London, and if your car was more than 5 years old, you had to pay 20 Australian dollars to drive your car in that area every day. So whether you're a cleaner or a courier or a rich person, it doesn't matter, $20 a day, full stop. Now, I find that virtue signalling is very free. It's very cheap to say you care about the climate, but then when the government tries to get you to pay $20 a day to care for the environment, it doesn't go down so well. And the reason I say that is because these people called the Blade Runners, they would put masks on and things like that, and they have destroyed over 1,000 of the 1,400 ULEZ cameras. Yes. This is a story that I always tell because it gives me hope. It gives me hope that when the government pushes too far, humans are not as stupid as you think. The left, the right, the top, the bottom, every religion in between, $20 a day affects everyone, and they came together and they did it, and they're faceless and nameless. We can also use the referendum as also a hope as well. I am a very optimistic person, and I thought that we were going to lose that. Absolutely, because I'm not used to winning in anything, you know, in this climate. I even made a bet with my dad that the yes vote was going to win, and the no vote won. By the way, Queensland, what the hell? We moved to the right place, right? Oh my God. But not just the vote itself, it gave me so much hope that people are not as stupid as we think, because every mainstream media and all the celebrities were all yes. And people were like, yeah, that's great, that's great. No, right? So just know that, especially in rural rural Australia, people are not like they are in the cities. And I just want us to not lose hope in the fact that when we are pressured to that point that we're going to react. Now, there's also a war, I'm not a war lord, obviously, but there is a war tactic called the acceleration tactic. Now, I don't want to be naive. I know, I can tell you how bad lockdowns were. Of course, I could spend this whole time talking about it, right? We know that things are going to get bad at some point. There might be a point where you have to sign up for the digital ID to buy groceries, right? And some of us might have a really, really tough time. But I believe the sooner it happens, the better it's going to be. And the reason is that the sooner it happens, the quicker we can push back against it, and the sooner our children and our grandchildren can have the life that we wish that they have. So the acceleration process is basically us as a movement globally thinking we don't care what you do because we're ready for it and we're going to push back against it. I don't think that we can stop them from trying. They're too arrogant. They put decades, maybe even, well, you guys know, hundreds of years behind this, generations behind this one world government plan. They are going to try it. Let's get that point out of our heads that we can stop them from trying. But we can stop them when they try, because every single thing they want to do requires mass compliance. Now, look at what happened with COVID. I think we did a lot better than we know. I think possibly they wanted it to get a lot worse and we stopped it from happening. What if these news, now we know the mainstream media lie, okay? And we know that fear is the biggest tactic that people use to control people. It's the biggest war tactic in the world. Look at Hitler, look at all this sort of stuff. So when we see mainstream media headlines that are literally directed at us, why do we believe them? Sometimes we do. Now, there are two fear campaigns going on, in my opinion. There's a fear campaign for the normies, and there's a fear campaign for us. And the reason there's a fear campaign for us is because we are a legitimate threat against their narrative. They know that, so they have to put money and resources into fearing us because they need to do that. Now, the normies fear campaign is global warming, of course, it's the fires, it's the cost of living, that affects us too. But our fear campaign is digital currencies, digital ID, cashless society, 15-minute cities, etc. But I saw a headline the other day that said Australia is going to be the first cashless country by 2024. And I'm like, I've been in rural Queensland and the EFTPOS machines don't even work. Like, how is that even possible? I spent 3 days with Catherine Austin-Fitz. Some of you might know her. She's an investment banker from America. She was the youngest female partner on Wall Street and she took them to court for 12 years and won. She's been attacked by the globalists over and over again. And I spent 3 days with her and she said, Monica, to bring in a digital ID and a digital currency, it all kind of has to happen at the same time because you can't have a digital currency without a digital ID. You can't have 15-minute cities without digital IDs and digital currency. She's like, to actually do that, it's going to, she's like, I don't know how they can do it. I mean, they can't even track and trace us. They couldn't even track and trace us when COVID happened. Like, but they want us to believe that they are already in the motion. They want us to think that they can achieve it. But what if it's all lies? What if, I mean, anyone can make a website that's costing them $500,000 and make it look like it's this big organization that does all these amazing things and they make fancy videos and they have big social, they can buy social media followings, right? But what if they can't do any of it? So I think that we should actually, I know this, I don't want to be insensitive to your situations, but I think if we can have the attitude that to bring it on, I think it's going to be really, really powerful. Like, every time that they try to do something big, and like I said about the persecution, every time they try to bring in more control, when you look at it, once you get over the shock of it, they always end up losing more followers than they do gaining. We always gain more followers. And when people wake up, they never, ever go back to sleep. You guys know it's a huge burden. Sometimes you just wish you could go to sleep for 2 weeks and remember what it was like to be, like them, just to have a break. So, the disinformation and misinformation boom, you guys know that's coming up. Now, if that goes through, we will find a way around it. We will do protests in Mackay. We will hold signs on the side of streets. We will figure out a way, and in the meantime, it'll wake up So, when I see headlines like the misinformation bill and stuff like that, I'll tell you exactly what I would have done 3 years ago. I would have organised Australia-wide protests. I would have had petitioning and campaigning and letterbox drops and things like that. It would have been a lot of work. It would have been fun, but it would have been a lot of work. But now I look at it and I think, if the government wants that to go through, it's going to go through, right? Not because I'm a pessimist, but because I'm a realist. We don't have enough good politicians in Parliament right now. And the reason I know that it will go through if they want it to go through is I'm not trying to be negative, right? We, in Melbourne, we had a protest of over 600,000 people on the streets for one bill. So the demands were very specific. It wasn't like a list of 10 demands. And we know that there was 600,000 people there because people took drone footage and did all the maths and things like that. I was even in the helicopter at the time because I wasn't allowed to go to protest, so I thought I'll go in a helicopter above the protest and then I'm at the protest, haha. Anyway, so I did see it from the sky. And the point I'm trying to make is that we only have 6 million people in Victoria, and 600,000 people were at that protest, which represents probably 50% of the population, because out of that 6 million, you've got old people and young people and disabled people and things like that. The bill went through 3 days later. Now, this isn't a negative thing. It's just that we need to understand that the way a democracy used to be fought or expressed, it's changed. And I don't think, everything I'm saying is opinion, of course, mostly, is I don't think that we can change this country with one big campaign or one big protest or one amazing meme or one amazing organisation. Unfortunately, it's going to be one-on-one, and it sounds airy-fairy, but it is true. No one is going to listen. No one outside the echo chamber is going to listen to me. They don't know me and they think I'm crazy. They're only going to listen to people they respect and love already. And the way that we connect with those people, now I actually don't have that much experience because, like I said, everyone I love is like me, but I will say that what I think we can do, number one, is we can be a role model for what we want the world to be. What that means is we need to walk the walk. If we preach about using cash, we have to use cash all the time. If we preach about supporting local businesses, we have to, at least when we can afford to, support local businesses. Also, I hate to say it, we need to fake to be optimistic as much as possible. And when you fake optimism, you wake up one day and you're actually optimist and you're like, who is this person? And people are attracted to happy people. They're attracted to know what makes you click, what makes you happy, whether it's religion or beliefs or activism or hating the government, whatever makes you happy, they want to know what that is. So you can be an example of what you wish that other people could enjoy in life, and if that means faking it, then maybe sometimes you need to fake it. The other thing is, you can plant seeds. Now, the cash topic is a really good seed planter at the moment because of what happened with Optus and things like that, and pretty much no one disagrees that we should keep cash alive. I've never had a bad conversation about cash. In fact, every single person I've ever spoken to agrees that we should keep cash alive. So this is a great way to just open the door with your colleague or things like that, and then it can build on that. So pretty much the end of this segment is that I don't think they're doing as well as they claim to be, and we can use that to decimate our fear, because we don't need to be fearful because of the communities that we have around us. And Catherine Austin-Fitz also described to me, she's like, well look, there's two paths you can choose, right? There's the enslavement path with the digital IDs and digital currencies, and we've already decided that we're not going to do that, right? And we've decided that we're on this path that gets us to a park on a Friday night talking to a jailbird. But we've chosen this path, and we know it's going to be tough sometimes, but we're actually really happy about it, let's be honest. It's really nice knowing where our convictions are, where our lines are. Maybe none of us have ever been this type of person before. Maybe we're really proud of the person that we've become. We're stronger, we've met new people, etc., etc. So we're on that path. We're not going back to the other path. So we may as well just be happy about it. We may as well be excited about it. And what if the next crisis makes us an even better person, and we even build better networks, and maybe we actually create a society outside of the society and we have the best life we've ever had. I mean, I know there's bad stories, so I'm going to say again, I don't want to be insensitive, but there's also a heck of a lot of good stories, okay? So many people lost their job and found a better one. So many people moved in with their parents and had these great bonds, you know? Like my family, for example, you guys, not many people know this, but when I was arrested, I was living with my brother and his 5 children, his wife's sister, and his wife's sister's fiance. And my parents and I were living on a house barn at the back. And the house barn wasn't zoned residential, so we weren't supposed to be living in it. There was 9A and 9B. Now, the police came to find me so many times and they could never find me, and it was so funny because, like, where's Monica? She's apparently lives at this address, but she's never here. Because the house, when you look at the barn, you wouldn't know that there were people living in it, you know? Anyway, when I got arrested, they came and raided the house of my brother with his 5 young kids. They spent hours in his house going through nappy change tables. They went in the attic, they looked in bed mattresses, and the kids were all home from school. It's pretty traumatic, you know. And my 4-year-old nephew happens to be my godmother. I happen to be his godmother. He actually said, I don't know if you know this story, Dad, about 6 months later, because he experienced all of this, and we have a special connection, of course, because I'm his godmother, he said to his mum, if the police ever come back for Monica, I want to go instead of her. Have you heard that before, Dad? Oh my gosh. Anyway, the point is, the police, I'm getting to the point here, I promise. The police interrogated my godson when the parents weren't looking. And they said, where does your auntie sleep? Because they couldn't find my room, they couldn't find my computer. And obviously that's completely illegal, right? Yeah. Anyway, he said, in the barn. Of course he said that. And by the way, there was 12 police there. I don't know what they were looking for, protest t-shirts. They even took like a t-shirt that said like freedom fighter on it. Like they took it as evidence. It sounds so silly. Anyway, it's funny. But because it wasn't zoned residential and it was 9B instead of 9A, they couldn't search my room. And it just annoyed them so much. But they complained to the council that we weren't supposed to be living there and we got kicked out of there. That was the best time in my life living on that property. I really enjoyed it. But when I got out of prison, my family had pretended everything was fine because they didn't want to tell me anything negative while I was in prison, which thank you for that. But I got out of prison and my whole world had been turned upside down. We had to move. But because of that, my parents were stuck and they couldn't find a place in Melbourne. And so they moved to Queensland. And it's a really distressing story that has a really good ending, and I have never been happier. And also, there's so many people that move from Victoria to Queensland. Sorry about the house prices, I know, but if you already owned a house, you're welcome. But if you're looking for a house, I'm really sorry. But anyway, I guess my point was silver linings, and that we become better people, and so we should be excited about whatever's to come. And I think there's more to come, and it's going to be difficult but more beautiful. I mean, have you ever learnt anything without some difficulty? Anyone? No, don't think so. Pretty much. Well, the best lessons anyway. So I'm going to get to the next point, and I've got about 5 minutes left. If you're getting antsy, there's only 5 minutes to go. So I went to Europe. Where's that band, Dad? Is it here? Oh, I'm not wearing one. Dad, is the band in here? Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, the wind might have taken it away. Anyway, I'm going to go. So I went to Europe for, you got it? Yeah, it's the We Are Ready one. Yeah. I went to Europe for 5 months, and the reason I did that is the same reason I'm doing this. I wanted to get out of Australia. Yeah, I wanted to get out of Australia because I thought I would never travel again because, of course, I'm not vaccinated. In fact, I've never been vaccinated for anything, so thank you, Mum and Dad. That was amazing. So I am an anti-vaxxer, and that's my mum just like brought us up that way. But again, reason why I'm supportive. Anyway, so the reason I'm talking about Europe is because inadvertently I didn't realise that I've become an expert, an actual expert on the freedom movement globally. Like, I did this exact thing with I had 23 events over 16 different countries, all different languages, all different types of people. I broke bread with them, I stayed at their houses, just like I'm staying at Rowan's house. And I think that, I know that I can give you generalizations on the freedom movement that you can be pretty sure are realistic because the data set I have is raw and absolutely real. So, I've got 3 things I wanted to, and by the way, the reason I could do that is because I did the global walkout and I got a global database. So what I would do, just so you know, is I would email that country. So for example, Croatia had 81 email addresses. I would just email those 81 people and ask for an invitation just like this, and it just always worked out somehow. Anyway, so that's how I did it. But I've got 3 things to say about the global, I call it the freedom family, and I hope it catches on. I think the Light newspaper's using it, so we're getting there. Anyway, so 3 generalizations. The first thing is, I hate to tell you, but the entire freedom movement looks the same as you. And I don't mean race, I mean we're all unique, but we all look pretty much the same. And the reason I say that is because you cannot pick us out from a crowd. And I think it's one of our biggest strengths. A lot of the other movements, you'll find that you can pick them out from a crowd, and you guys know what kind of people I'm talking about. Again, I know that we shouldn't always judge a book by its cover, but in this case, we are judging a book by its cover, and I'm telling you that the people I met, 100% of the people were just so average in a nice way. They just have families, they want to live a better life, they want their kids to live a better life, they're family orientated, generally speaking, and they're just nice people. At least they were nice to me. Now, of course, every group has a few crazies, okay? I'm not saying that we're all perfect, that's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that our intentions are genuine, and that is all that matters. Even if you make a mistake, if your intention is genuine, it always ends up the same. So the reason I'm telling you this about the freedom movement, freedom family, is because if you ever question if you're a part of some sort of weird, crazy cult, which I know that you don't, but I'm just in the future, because the mainstream media, you know, they're going to paint us as different things as time goes on. Just know that I've met over 1,200 freedom-loving people from all different countries, and they are all as nice as you guys are. And I was really proud after that. I'm a part of a church community, so I know what communities are like, and I can tell you that it has the same feel in the sense that you can just get along with them straight away. You don't have to talk about all the small stuff. You guys know what it's like. You have that here. But the point is, it's like this all over the world. You're not that special in that sense. We're all as nice as each other, and that's a great thing. Number 2 is, okay, I don't know all your stories, and there's no way I'm going to get to know all your stories, but maybe some of you were not as loud as you wished you had been during the difficult times. Maybe it's because you had a reason not to be, like work, family, friend, etc. And it doesn't matter, I don't judge you for it. But a lot of people overseas came up to me and either whispered in my ear or were a bit sheepish or not. Anyway, they told me, Monica, I didn't do everything I could during that time. I was scared, you know. And I was like, okay, fair enough. I don't judge you, it's okay. You're here now. And then they would say, but next time, I am not going to be quiet. And what I think is going to happen is that a lot of the people that were very vocal the first crises around, or the first one that we recognise anyway, we might be able to take a sidestep, because this new energy is going to be huge, because they watched us being vocal and maybe they were a little bit envious of what ended up happening to people like us, for example. We found this new courage, we found this new life, we're happier people generally speaking, we found purpose, we found vitality in our life, and they're like, hell, I want some of that, right? So next time, they are not going to waste that opportunity. I can tell you that firsthand. So that's the second point, is that the silent people won't be silent. And trust me, there was a lot of silent people that we don't know about. There was a lot of people watching us from the sidelines the first time around. We don't know who they are because they're still watching from the sidelines. We are only a minuscule amount of what we actually represent. Now, the last point is that, so if you've been following me at all, you know that I say we are ready a lot, and it's pretty obscure, like it doesn't mean much on its own, and people say, well, what are we ready for? And my reply is, we're ready for anything, whatever. Let's just like see what happens, you know, because without it being in our faces, we can't fight it. And if they have too long to plan, we might lose. If we can somehow psych them out, and I don't know exactly how to do that, but I feel like if we all don't give a stuff, and if we're not scared, I feel like somehow that energy will resonate somewhere into the globalists or whoever's doing all of this heads, and they will get antsy, and they will think that they have to act sooner than they do, and they will make mistakes. They're only humans. They also only have the devil on their side, who never wins in the end. So we might not be ready physically, but we can be ready mentally. That's something we can control. They cannot control how we think and how we feel and the hope that we have. In prison, they could not stop me from being positive. There's nothing that they could do to do that, and they could have they tried, but it didn't happen. Every time they were looking through the window, I made sure I was doing exercises, so I just like psyched them out, like, what is this girl? Anyway, the point is we can do that too. We can psych them out. And so the third point I wanted to make is that I don't feel the fear like I felt 2 years ago personally, but I also didn't feel it with the people that I met. I don't feel it here tonight either, because we have each other, and we didn't have that when COVID happened. And when you have that, you're harder to control, you're harder to fear, and you can say no a lot longer. And we learned from 3 years ago, didn't we? We learnt when the mandates came in that if we had all held the line, and maybe everyone here did, but maybe not, if everyone had held the line at the same time, it would have ended. And we've learnt that lesson. And next time we're not going to flirt with that, are we? And I hope that if you do get to the decision where someone says you can't go grocery shopping unless you get the digital ID, I hope that you remember you are not alone, and everyone else, not everyone, a lot of other people are going to say no too. So just have faith in humans, like with the referendum, like with the ULS Canberra, have faith that when you say no, everyone else is too, and you know everyone here is going to say no. So that's the third point I want to make. And I'm just going to show you guys just a few things. I'm kind of like winding up here. But you guys know that cash is important, obviously. Now, I didn't really understand why it was important, except for the fact that it's not tracked and things like that. But Campwin Beach helped make me understand that the more cash that's in circulation, the harder it is for them to bring in the digital currency, and that makes me feel good. So every time I pay cash, I just feel a little bit good inside, and especially when I have the perfect change, I feel like a hero, like, boom, I've got the 5 cents, and they don't care, but I think it's really cool. But the point is, I am a huge believer in not wasting any opportunities to raise awareness. Like, you can pay cash, that's fine, and then you leave and they don't know why you paid cash. They don't know that it's an integrity thing. They might think it's something else, right? So I have these little slips of paper. I don't think we have too many left, but you can print them from my website. Really easy. It's 10 to a page, so it's very, very cheap, and then you cut them up with a guillotine or with your scissors, or get your kids to do it, project. And every time that you pay with cash, you give them this little piece of paper. Now, the points on here are very normal. When I say that, I mean the audience is for the normies, not for us. So it doesn't say that the government wants to track you and give you a social credit system and then kill you or something, okay? It's literally just, you can save money on transaction fees, support local businesses, etc. So it's very, very basic. But also there is a, oh, by the way, if you shop at the same place every day, like some of you might, please don't give it to them every day, because that would be really annoying for them. But we also have business posters as well, and so it's like just the business puts it up and says, please pay cash if you can. And I'll just give you one story. If you've been watching me online, you've already heard it, so sorry. But there was a coffee van in Bundaberg, and he put up one of these signs, and his FPOS sales went from 2/3 to 1/3. Very quickly, and then his regular customers, if they don't have cash, they feel bad. They're like, I'm so sorry, I don't have cash, and he's like, it's okay. But the thing is about this coffee van, he's not just getting cash for his own business, which is saving him transaction fees and whatever else, but he's also kind of conditioning those people to think more about where their cash is going and who they're supporting when they're paying their cash. And that's really important, because they would have cash left over and they'd be using it other places, of course. I've been talking to people all up and down this coast, and everyone is for cash. So you can print that. I don't have the business posters here printed, sorry, but you can print them yourself. Now this brings me to pretty much my last point, which is, you know how I talked about walking the walk? Well, we can do it with our money too, obviously, and I'm so glad I met Campwin Beach, because she really did change my life. And the reason I say that is because she has 10,000 subscribers to a yearly membership thing for her financial advice, and 40% of those people send her cash in envelopes. And I thought, bloody hell, if she can do it, then I can do it too. And this was when I was at the end of my book publishing stage, and I published it myself, I was definitely going to use Amazon. I'll be honest with you guys. I was going to use Amazon, and I was going to justify it. And I could have, right? I could have said, I'm not a publisher, I don't know how to do it, I want to get my message out, and Amazon's the easiest way, and I'll make more sales, so that's why I'm doing it, and it's cheaper for the customer, it's cheaper shipping. I had all the justifications ready. But thank God I took her example and I did it myself. And I'll tell you how good it feels is the printer who printed my book He did $20,000 worth of free flyers and posters for me during COVID. I got to go back and give him a real job, and that was really, really beautiful. The editors, yes, and he's anonymous too. He doesn't even want business from it. He's amazing. The editors were freedom lovers, and then the people who pack and send it is a mum and daughter who volunteered in all the elections in Queensland. They're on the Gold Coast. The daughter, you know, she's now making a lot of money because she's doing the next thing I'm showing you. But the point is every single dollar profit of my book is going to people I know. And I'm not telling you to gloat. I'm telling you because it was worth it. And it was a lot of work. I'm telling you, a lot of upfront money and things like that. But now that the process is done, I could maybe do it for other people. And the feeling is just worth every cent. And now I'm in the green and I feel really good about it. The other thing is that, okay, do you guys know what this thing is? This little bag? Anyone? The dad, we know, you know. Oh my gosh. Dad's trigger happy with his hand, isn't he? Did you want to ask a question too? Okay, I'm really nearly finished because all this food, I hope. Anyway, this is called a Faraday bag. So there's two pockets in it. There's like a middle pocket, and if you put your phone in the middle pocket, it's got a lead cloth in the middle, and it completely cuts all the signal off on your phone. So if you've got kids that are out and about, don't put it in the middle pouch because you will not get any phone calls. And if you do put it in the middle pouch, I suggest that you put it on airplane mode because otherwise your phone will keep looking for reception and it might kill the battery sooner. But it's such a good habit to get into if you don't need your phone in that moment, or at night time, if you can put it in that and save yourself a bit of radiation. We're getting radiated from every corner, obviously. We can't really stop it, but we can minimize it. Now there's a front pocket, so you can put your phone in the front pocket. You'll still get reception, but if you're a guy and you're wearing your phone in your pocket, or if you're a girl and you've got a handbag, you put the side that has the lead cloth against your skin so that the radiation's only going out one way. You don't need it to be going out two ways. There's also a keyring holder and stuff as well. But that's not even the cool part. Well, I think anyway. Because, so I thought, well, if I want to keep doing what I'm doing, I need to find ways to like fund my trips, or else I'm going to have to get a normal job in real estate. Could you imagine how boring that would be for me after what I've been through? But anyway, the point is, I came up with a funny way to make these conversation starters. You guys know I'm all about spreading awareness, not just learning yourself. So if you're at a cafe or you're at work or something like that, you can just put these facing up, and I've got some words on there, and the daughter in the Gold Coast, she does these words by hand. The bags, sorry, they are from China at the moment. It's the only place I could find them, but we are looking to get them made in Australia, so that's happening. But anyway, so I've got ha can't hear me now, because it blocks all the signal. And then the favourite one is, dear globalist, go track someone else. Now this is a really good conversation starter. If you put that up in a coffee shop, people will be like, what? You know, or at work. So if you game it up, you should, and obviously it's a good Christmas present as well. But the other thing is these We Are Ready bands, like you put them on your wrist. They're free. Please take one if you're going to wear it. Now, if you're a girl, they're not very feminine, so I understand if you don't want to wear them. But you can put it in your car, you can put it on your mirror, you can put it on your fridge, and just remember those words, we are ready. And when you're faced with something, just remember that you've got support and you've got each other and you've got your own strength to do that. So take these for free. And there's where's the freedom sticker? I bet we lost it, didn't we, Dad? Oh, it's there. Oh my God, I'm really nearly finished. I also have freedom stickers for your car. So when the protest movement was massive, we were using, of course, the Australia flags, but then there's a division between the red and the blue. And so I thought, if we ever have a huge protest movement again, it'd be cool to just have flags with just the words freedom on it, because there's no logo, no brand, no nothing. So I think that would be really cool. So I'm going to summarise now. And the summary is that we should not waste our emotions being scared, because we're actually super ready in many ways. And if you don't feel ready, fake it until you are. Fake it till you make it. I really love that saying. And manage your expectations of the energy that you're using. And I'll say, for example, if you're going to go to a protest right now because you want to have a great day and you want to connect with people and I love protesting. It's like one of the funnest things I've ever done. And now that the protests aren't dangerous, they're kind of boring, but at the same time good. Obviously I don't want that stuff to happen again. I'm just saying I'm weird. But the point is, if you go into a protest to have fun, that's fantastic. If you go into a protest to change policy, you might get disappointed. So it's important that we understand what we can get from different things, and so we don't get disappointed all the time. But we welcome whatever comes next. Imagine if they tried to lock us down right now. Could you imagine? Honestly, all those quiet people, all those people who've woken up since the vaccine adverse reactions, all those people that we don't know them because they didn't have to find us. They don't need us right now. They don't need support. All those people are going to come jumping out of the bushes like they claim COVID did, and we're going to have this magical pushback, and we're going to be stronger people for it. So don't be afraid. And that's the end of my talk. What did I forget, Dad? I hate this bit. I really hate this bit. But Dad's like, you have to do it. I'm going to be cryptic because of the children, but this book is not just about the free. Has anyone here read it? Not yet. You have? Oh, Dad! Oh my gosh. That's it. You're banned from putting your hand up. I'm gonna put it in a sling next time. No. So it's about more than the freedom movement in jail, and I do have a new mission in life. I don't know exactly how it's going to play out, but I just want to explain it to you really quickly. I want to help to make. I'm not going to say the S something abuse. I want that to be more commonplace conversation. And the reason I want that to be more commonplace is because it's a very awkward conversation. I know that some of you are uncomfortable right now. But the only people that win by silencing this topic is the perpetrators. The victims end up being shamed and silenced because they're so embarrassed to talk about it. And the reason why I can talk about it, by the way, is because I've written about it and I'm not a victim anymore because I'm using it to help someone else, hopefully help other people. If something bad happens to you and you don't do anything with it, then it's just something bad that happened to you. But if you can help other people, it's gonna minimize the pain that you're going through. But I will tell you that I did not become this person on accident. It took a lot of work for me to get here. And 2 years before COVID, I was doing a lot of free journalist work around the world. I went to orphanages in Thailand. I saw sex trafficked children in Thailand. I volunteered with them. I learned about the opioid crisis in America. I got stuck in a civil war in Ecuador and couldn't get my passport and things like that. I documented a hurricane disaster zone in Florida. But the point is that it's a journey, and I think some people might get something really valuable out of it outside of the freedom movement. And my mum also writes a chapter about how she could have maybe handled things differently, for example, with me. And I just want to say, and I will finish on a positive note, but I just want to say this one thing. If you know someone, even if they're an adult and it happened a long time ago or whatever, it's not too late to make them feel respected and honoured. And if you have someone young who you know who's gone through, it doesn't matter what it was, by the way, there's no level of, everyone handles it differently, but they might tell you that they don't want you to make a big deal of it because they're embarrassed, right? But trust me, all they want you to do is make a big deal of it. And obviously there's a time and a place, but if that person doesn't feel honoured and respected in that moment, it could affect their entire life. You guys know that. And it did affect me for like 7 years, and I was a mess. So, but I came through it. I found God again, and I got my parents' help and support. And my editors were like, "Have your parents read this book?" And I said, "Yeah." And they're like, "Oh God, like you've got really nice parents." My dad had to learn some secrets that he didn't know. But anyway, I can't finish on that. But the point is, you'll get more than you think you're going to get. And when you buy anything from me, you're supporting this tour. If you got anything out of tonight, you're going to support me being able to continue to do this. And you're supporting the mum and daughter who made the bag. So now that's the end of my talk, and we are ready. That's it.
So Monica delivered a absolutely fantastic speech. No notes, no nothing, just smashed it out and really gold words. So this is a fantastic crew we've got going on here. Kids are having a ball over there.
Yeah,
thank you so much, and I hope it's worth the drive. It's not too much.
The hero lady.
All right.
Private consultant online hookup World Health.
Well, there's another thing in March. She said, okay, so your sisters, you know, your sisters, they...
No, can you take my old one? And if you want to get
You don't want the bread?
The prize winning mullet.
The prize? Oh man, that is just, how can that not win?
Category.
You got it, you won the one. You got the gold.
Sydney in 13 days and compete.
No shit. Kudos, dude.
In the grand final. So he's got to get the flick right.
He's got it. Smashed it.
I sent them all this, so they've got the legal documentation, right? So we're using their legalese.
Even Josh came. Hey!
No, there's no. They took it off. They took it off because it's no longer there. So yeah.
All I can say, I'm super freaking proud to be associated with these awesome people. It's freaking awesome.